Hi, it's Felina. Welcome to my channel or welcome back. And I'm very happy to have you. And yes, I am doing voiceover again. I had originally planned to be on screen, but I got a lot of things done today. And I sat down on the couch to start working on some more of my content. And I fell asleep on the couch. So I thought I would just do voiceover again. And I've got a really spooky and interesting story from another book that I've enjoyed. Okay, it's from the book Haunted by the Things You Love by John Zaffis and Rosemary Ellen, and I feel like I've pronounced her name wrong before. If I still am, I apologize. Gully. Uh, we have a story here, and the story starts out with a young couple, Brad and Laura, and it goes quite a ways, and we're gonna get into it. Okay, Brad heard another scream, and he had been comfortably sitting on the couch watching the football game. He should have been used to this by now, but the scream still startled him. It was his girlfriend, Laura. She came into the room terrified and white as a sheet. She said, "I can't take this anymore." And then she started sobbing, and he went to her and took her in his arms to comfort her while he tried to sneak a peek at the football game. But he asked, "What is it? Is it that thing again?" She nodded, and she was still crying. And she told him, yes, it had followed her out of the bedroom. And she had felt something behind her. And when she turned around, it was there. And she described a dark figure that had been around the home that she had been seeing. And just it's when she looked, she saw this, and she said this time, she thought it was going to grab her, and it did actually scratch her yet again, and she had a scratch on her arm. He told her to calm down and said, "I know it scares you when you think you see it," but he told her, and she called him out on that. She said, "I told you I'm not imagining things." And how do you explain the scratches that both of us have been getting? And he said, "Well, actually, it was more of just being clumsy and accident prone, and they just hadn't noticed it." She told him that was ridiculous, and that she was starting to think that he just didn't care about what happened to her. And of course, he denied this. And she told him, she said, "Things have been going wrong ever since you brought that deathbed into the house." And he tried to calm her down, and basically still thinking it was her imagination. But she gave him a choice. It was either get rid of this bed or she was leaving. And apparently, he made the decision to be the bed because she packed her things in to leave. And before she left, they had another argument, something they had been doing quite a bit recently. And she ended up leaving. And after she left, he thought she would have calmed down, and he called her to try to get her to come back, but she wouldn't. She said she would not come back into the house as long as that bed was there. So, there was the sting of loneliness with Laura gone, but there was also something else. Once Laura was out of the house, Brad started to see this dark figure. Brad would tell this figure when he saw it, he would tell it to get the F out, and that didn't help anything. If anything, it got worse. And not only was he seeing this, but he was noticing other things now as well. He heard rappings on the wall, and it seemed that every single night it seemed like he was having nightmares. And there was a sense of dread. And also Brad had always been a pretty healthy guy. He seldom ever got sick. But he noticed a change in his health. He was not feeling well at all. And things got so bad that he decided he needed some help. So, a little further away, John Zaffis was returning home. He had been away at a weekend conference. And one of the first things he did was check his answering machine. And he found the voice of a very distraught man. He told him he had a deathbed and he thought it was possessed or something. And he had gotten John's contact information from someone he knew. And apparently they had told him about John's museum because he said he had thought about burning this bed. But when he heard about John, he thought he would just give him a call and see if he wanted it because he wanted to get rid of this thing. So John called him back, and he he sounded distraught, and because he had left John his number, and he called him back, and he said he just wanted to get rid of it, and he said they wanted to get rid of it too, and John asked, "Who is they?" Then he said, "The people at work." He asked what he was doing with it. Uh, and he said he thought it would make a cool coffee table. I can't imagine that for some reason. But he wondered, John wondered what he'd got himself into. Seriously, this was something he hadn't dealt with before. But he told him he would be there. But it did take about 13 hours. On the way there, John did call to check with Brad from his cell phone to make sure things hadn't got any worse. And he didn't know how he was going to move a bed, but he couldn't think about that right now. He just wanted to find out what was going on. So he finally got to Brad's, and he seemed, he was nice toward him. And John, he guessed him to be like in his 30s, and thought he was actually a nice looking guy, but he had this very tired and sort of a sick look about him. And he soon showed him the bed. And he had a friend there named Robbie, and John figured that he was there for support. So he just introduced him as Robbie, and that was all. And anyway, he was pretty quick to show him the bed. And it was something to look at. It had a thick and wide, dark stained slab of wood, and it was about 8 feet long. Like I said, coffee table. I don't see this, but anyway, it had a saddle at one end, of it. Then Brad told him a little bit more about the bed. He said an executive where he worked was someone who traveled and collected exotic items. And he didn't know where he got this, but the executive had it shipped to him. The executive's wife didn't like this because it was said that strange things happened. But he ignored that for a while until his wife became ill. And at first he thought nothing of it, but then she wasn't getting any better. And we didn't know, or he didn't know, it was never told if anything else, if the executive himself like saw anything, or if he was just worried about his wife. But he got spooked by the bed and decided that he was just going to have it trashed. He was going to have someone take it to the trash for him. But a coworker heard about this, and he told him not to do that. He said he would take it because he didn't believe in the supernatural anyway. But that didn't last long. About 2 weeks after this employee had took the bed, he basically started having the same things happen, and his wife ended up getting ill. So he, at that point, wanted to get rid of it too. So now Brad had heard the stories, but he said he'd take it. And even this coworker of his told him, "You don't want this. You really don't want this. It's got a bad vibe to it. You don't want it." But he told him he didn't believe in that kind of thing, and he ended up getting it from the coworker. John told him at this point, John told him he would really like to talk to the executive that had purchased it first. And well, probably not first, but the first that they knew of. But Brad didn't want that. I think it was too embarrassing for him, and he didn't want him to do that. But so he asked him not to do it. So John walked around the house and he sensed a presence. And he felt like something was coming from the bed. But whatever it was, it didn't make itself known to him. He just felt something. He didn't see anything. And he said some prayers over it and sprinkled some holy water on it. Nothing showed. And uh, the atmosphere became more highly charged. And he heard Brad and Robbie in the other room talking. And finally, all three of the men, John agreed to take it. And the three of the men got the bed loaded on top of John's car. And it was really a sight to see. But he decided, it had been such a long drive. John decided he was going to stop at a motel to stay the night. And the desk clerk looked out and saw the bed on top of the car. And in an accident, he said, "Bad mojo, bad mojo." And he didn't question him any further on this. But he got it back home and had it in his museum. And everyone, and Rosemary helped him to try to do a research on this as well. The lady that wrote this book with him. But everybody that saw it got a really strange vibe from it. And he consulted different people, but he really didn't find anything. Then he finally found a source that said that the spirit could be vengeful. One thing now that John already did know, he had done his research, and he found out in certain cultures that, especially people that were being cremated, would sometimes be laid out on like a slab, and it was considered like a deathbed. But they would be laid out for that for viewing, and sometimes even people that were going to be, buried, they were, their viewing was done that way. But for the ones that were cremated, a lot of times the bed was burnt, with them. But this bed was so elaborate, he couldn't imagine. But this source told him there were so many possibilities. This could be a vengeful spirit. It could want revenge because, after all, maybe this was someone who died like too soon and resented the living. It could have actually been a spirit that had been guarding the bed. There were so many things it could possibly be. But the worst thing is that the spirits, whatever they may be, they would resent anyone who took this bed in as a conversation piece. It just it you don't do that. It is not acceptable, and it's just something that other people are making a conversation piece out of it. And this this shouldn't be, it shouldn't be in the home. It just shouldn't. Because, after all, the dead do not like disrespect. And that's basically what was happening. And this is how things get passed down like this. Someone gets it and things happen and it's passed down to someone else and then passed to someone else. And it just goes on and on. But anyway, the deathbed, it's in John's museum, and it goes, this just goes beyond, attachment to something. As I said, they do not appreciate the disrespect. So while he never found out exactly what the story was, that's what it came down to. And he hadn't heard anything from Brad, so he had told him to call him if he had any more activity or anything. So he assumed everything was all right. We don't know if Laura came back or not. Don't know that. But anyway, just that is the one thing do not do. It's kind of almost like mocking the dead. It's disrespectful, and this this makes this makes the spirits very, very vengeful. And I'm getting a call. I don't know if you can hear that. I apologize if you can. Okay, just a minute. I'm sorry about this. I don't want to decline it. Okay, I'll call it back. I'm sorry about that. Crazy day. Oh no, just a busy day. But anyway, that's pretty much it. And I hope you've enjoyed this story. And let me check this call real quick. Okay, I'm sorry about the interruption there. I was hoping maybe it wouldn't be heard, but yeah, it was. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about that. Uh, but anyway, thank you so much. If you got through this story, and I thought it was really an interesting one. If you listened to this all the way through, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I always appreciate any views I get. And I'm going to get away from, even though I don't think it's the worst thing, because sometimes you can, I didn't use a lot of pictures tonight, but sometimes you can use pictures to kind of show things. Doing voiceover isn't the worst thing, but I would rather have my background. But yeah, I've been kind of resting this weekend, and well, I got a lot done today, and then I fell asleep on the couch. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this, if you would please give me a thumbs up, I would appreciate that so much. And have you ever heard of anything like this? Uh, no, like I said, I love your comments. If you've heard, because I'd never heard of anything like this. So, or drop anything you want in the comments. I'd appreciate it. And I would really, really appreciate it if you would subscribe. I'm a small channel and I'm trying to grow. And this is probably actually since I fell asleep on the couch. It's going to go up late. I hope to get it up before midnight. But anyway, again, thank you so much. And I'm going to go now, and I'm going to wish you whatever it is for you. It's night for me. I'm going to wish you a great night, or if you don't catch this until later, if it's daytime for you, have a great day. And remember, don't mess with anything that would be disrespectful to the spirits. That was the message in this. So anyway, I'm going to go, and I will talk to you, and I hope to be back on screen tomorrow. And hope everyone has had a great weekend. And thanks again. Bye.